Welcome to a new series where we're going to show you all the really cool stuff scattered all across the campus of the Wizard Academy. And the first one we're going to talk about is the Old Man in the Sea. Now, if you've been on the campus and you've walked to the entryway to the tower that leads into the art gallery, you've seen the Old Man in the Sea. The story of this is several decades ago. We're not going to talk about the exact date. Roy Williams was representing an artist in Colorado, and he was an art show, and he stumbled across this smaller sculpture of the Old Man in the Sea by an artist named Jane Dedeker, and immediately fell in love with it. At the time, he was too poor and he couldn't afford it, even the small one, which was, much smaller than the life-size one we have now. But he made a mental note, pay attention. And so fast forward to after the tower is built, and Roy realizes, you know what? I could afford that finally. So he starts looking for it. Unfortunately, every variation of this thing that could possibly be on the market, it was gone. So he writes a letter to Jane Dedeker, and that's the artist, Jane Dedeker. And he tells her this whole story about how he saw the original, he fell in love with it, and he fell in love with her work, and he really wants a copy or a version of it for the school that he's just started in Austin, Texas. She is caught up by the letter. She responds and says, you're right. There aren't any more available. In fact, I have the only remaining small version of the original. However, since it's so important to you, I would love to make you a new one. And since I'm going to make it from scratch, I'll make it whatever size you like. So how big would you like it? And he says, now that you mention it, I think I'll take it life-size. And thus we have the life-size statue of the Old Man in the Sea from Jane Dedeker. Now, if you remember the story of the Old Man in the Sea, John Steinbeck wrote the story. One of the original copies printed in Life magazine is in my office, on the walls of my office, and it tells the story of an old man who was considered cursed by his whole village, who decided that he was going to go out and stay out until he either died or caught a fish. Right? Damn the odds, I'm going out there. And he stayed out there until he hooked a giant marlin, and he fought it for 3 days and 3 nights until he finally brought it into the boat. And then he lashed it to the boat and made his way home. And on his way home, sharks ate the fish. But he still brought the bones of the fish up onto the beach to say, see, I told you I could do it. Now, there's a quote, tell me what a person admires, and I can tell you everything that you need to know about him. For us, that is the defining sort of idea behind all the different pieces of artwork and sculpture on the property. It's the idea that what we put out here shows you what matters to us. And for us, the Old Man in the Sea is a marker of courage and damn the odds, sort of Don Quixote. I'm going to do this thing even if everyone around me thinks I'm crazy. It does not matter. This is what I'm doing. Now, you'll notice he's walking towards the tower. And in the distance, you'll see the female version of that courage called Into the Wind. But that's a story for a different time. Okay, so we've got some cool things I'm going to talk about way in the future, and we've got an option. We're going to schedule the class, but you guys are going to get the first chance to hear about it if you're watching this video. So first things first, our reunion is officially Saturday, October 7th. Now, if you know how they go, there is no alumni discount because the fee is extremely low and we just use it to pay for food and wine. And you can bring a guest, and we would ask that you bring a bottle of your favorite thing to drink just for everybody to have something. We've got a lot of really cool special guests and music things happening. So over the next few Tower Update videos, I'm going to describe what they are. Rooms are not available for the reunion because I'm emailing all major donors and room donors privately to offer it to them first. So just plan on getting a hotel unless you've heard from me directly. Now, this year's guest is Virginia Postrel. You may have heard about her. She wrote a book called The Power of Glamour, about the art of persuasion and longing. Roy found her book and has been using a lot of her content to help develop and augment a lot of the marketing theory that he already developed. He uses some of her videos in Marketing to Millennials. We've used some of them now in Magical Worlds. She's just got some really cool stuff, and we're a big fan, and we managed to get her to come and speak as the featured speaker on Saturday night, October 7th, and she'll stick around a little bit afterwards and sign books. We're gonna have copies of The Power of Glamour for everybody who comes. So you don't have to bring your own, or you can if you want, but we're buying them, and if you've paid to be here, we'll have a book for you. So if you are registering for the reunion, then and bringing somebody, please let me know because I need to order enough food. The second thing is we're about to launch a brand new class. It's going to be the last week of August, and it's going to be called How to Build an Audience with Video. Now, this class is going to be me and Rex Williams and, wait for it, Brian Brushwood. If you haven't heard of Brian, he's one of our students. He also performed a couple years back at the reunion. He is a world famous magician. He's had multiple shows on TV. He's got 2 huge YouTube shows, one called Scam School with almost 2 million subscribers, and one called The Modern Rogue, which is at almost 500,000 subscribers, and it's pretty young. The class is gonna be how to create engaging video content, technically and theoretically, and then how to build an audience around that content in order to make your business more money. If you're interested in that, we haven't announced it and put it on the website yet. If you're interested in that, please email me because we may keep this class small and limit the amount of students since it's the first time we're doing it. So if you want to be guaranteed to get a room on campus when I announce it, shoot me an email. I'll email you before I announce it to the rest of the world. Now, we've got some great and special news happening with the American Small Business Institute. I've hired a guy. His name is Aaron Konzelman, and he is taking over. So let's introduce you to him. All right, so we've got news. For about 6 months or longer, let's just say for like a year and a half.
Sounds right.
I've been looking for somebody to take over American Small Business Institute and do it justice, to treat it the way that I came and kind of started doing Wizard Academy and focusing all of my energy on it. I need someone to do the same thing with American Small Business Institute, and I found our guy. This is Aaron Konzelman. Now you may notice the beard's a requirement for the job, it turns out.
Part of the attire.
There were many other applicants. They were all freshly shorn, and I didn't even interview them. Just wouldn't talk to them.
No, not worth the time.
Aaron, where are you from?
I'm from Waco, Texas, and still living there today with my wife and doing music and advertising, marketing.
All right, so over the upcoming weeks, what you're gonna see is it'll continue to go with weekly videos, and we do the monthly videos on American Small Business. If you don't know what I'm talking about, AmericanSmallBusinessInstitute.org is the online digital arm of Wizard Academy. This is where we're gonna start building content and classes. We may even build certifications. And we may even build some video curriculum that lead up to classes. So if you've ever attended a class and you thought, you know, what do I do to prepare for Magical Worlds? Well, very soon, Aaron will be able to say, watch these 4 videos in this order, and you'll be far better prepared to take the class.
Exactly. Yep.
And over time, you're going to see him interviewing our different instructors, and it's going to be great. You can reach Aaron at Aaron, Aaron, at wizardacademy.org. And we'll look forward to the future. Okay, so this is gonna be a new segment that I like to call Wizard Academy Shoutout. Over the years, you may notice hundreds of plaques across the campus anytime you come out here to visit. I'm gonna start talking about people who've donated and what for. So my first one, just because it popped in my head because I was just down there getting an iced espresso, was about a year and a half ago. Good friends of ours now, Hoots and Thomas, Steve and Chris. They're a husband-wife consulting team and Wizard of Ed's partners now. And they were here. They're from Seattle area. And they said, hey, your coffee section sucks. You know what you guys need? Now, if you've been around the Academy, you know that the sentence, you know what you guys need, is a very dangerous sentence to speak out loud because it almost always means you're about to be in charge of that thing. Well, they didn't know that yet, so this was their first lesson. So Steve says, you guys need better coffee. You know, you just got this Keurig over here, and you got, you know, some tea, and that's nice, but come on, it's the Wizard Academy. You guys should have amazing coffee. And I said, well, that's interesting, you should say that. What do you think we should get? And so he went about describing all the cool things. And at the end I said, well then, do you want to write a check so we can get that, or do you want to just mail it to us? And he said, wait, how much is it to become a major donor again? And I said, well, $5,000. He said, done, as long as part of it goes to making this coffee bar have all the things a coffee bar should have. And so now it does. And if you've been to the Academy since then, or the next time you come, when you get to the coffee bar in the lecture room, there's a little plaque, look for it. It says, the Hoots and Thomas Coffee Bar. And that's why we have a Nespresso machine, a Chemex pour over, a burr grinder, a hot water kettle, much nicer coffee options, an ice maker for iced coffee. We got all kinds of cool stuff over there now. So do me a favor. If you have partaken from the new fancy coffee setup, shoot me an email, because I'm going to send you back an email to reach Steve and Chris, and I want you to email them and say thank you for such amazing coffee. So until tomorrow, may your crazy stay this side of legal, and may you return before we have time to miss you. Cheers.